Yes, yes, yes. What's up, everybody? This is MC Till with everybody's hip hop label. Welcome once again to the Boom Bap Chat. Glad that you are here. If you live here in Cincinnati and you've never been to Everybody's Records, then let's go. Give me a call, text me, shoot me a message. I'll go with you. They got a great selection of CDs, tapes, vinyl, all of that. And if you can't get here in person, check them out online at everybodysrecords.com. And if you're in the spending mode, we got a new book coming out, the Boom Bap Review. We do it every year, and you can get it now. You can get it a little bit cheaper now for the pre-order. It comes out later this month. You can check that out at boombapreview.com. All right, so we're going to get into the interview for this evening. It took me a minute to write up a nice little intro because when you have some folks that have been in the game this long and have so many accomplishments and have pioneered something for so long, you got to get it right. So hopefully we get this introduction right. So here we go. So we all know hip hop is darn near everywhere now, but that was not the case when Fred Lynch started a group that would become P.I.D, Preachers in Disguise. He took hip hop into a place where it was often not welcomed, maybe all the time not welcomed, the church, and preached Jesus in a way that was pretty much unheard of through hip hop music. By dedication and following a real sense of calling, Fred Lynch ushered in a new subgenre of hip hop, Christian hip hop. Tonight, we get to hear about his journey, the journey of King Solomon J and Ace One, the MC, and also discuss the current and future state of Christian hip hop and more. So let's get into it. Fred, Jay, Ace, welcome to the Boom Bap Chat, y'all.
Hey, glad to be here. Glad to be here. We here.
Yes.
So good, man. Till, man, it's good to see you, dude. It's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too, man. I don't know how long we've known each other, but it feels like my whole life I've known you.
Dude, we feel like we're from family, man. We family for real. When we first met umpteen years ago, we just kicked it. And ain't it funny? So much of it was over the fact that the music that we love that traced our lives. We like, oh yeah, I get that. It's the soundtrack to our life. We must be kin. So that's kind of how it happened, man.
Yeah, for sure. And to kind of center ourselves this evening, I'm curious if we could think of, you can't name yourself, but if you can think of a Christian hip hop artist or figure that you would say is the most or one of the most important figures in Christian hip hop. Give our followers someone to Google and to go find out about. Who would you say?
Man, right off rip, I'm gonna say Michael Peace. Off rip, Michael Peace. Before we came out, Michael Peace came out. Actually, Michael Peace and Stephen Wiley. So I'm sorry, I'm old. So if you can give me two, these brothers, they can come with some as well. But both Stephen Wiley and Michael Peace are pioneers. They came out just right before we came out and hit it. And I'll never forget Michael Peace once when he saw us perform live. We were at a Cornerstone Festival in Chicago. And Michael Peace came up, and like we had turntables, British Knights with no shoelaces in it, fat gold chains, and we rapping and going hardcore. And he said, I love y'all style. I mean, it's very street. It's real. It's like what's happening today in the street. He said, but I'm going to tell you, I've been listening to your lyrics too. And he said, I think the world's going to love your style, but when they hear what you're really saying in your lyrics, I think it's going to be a problem. And I'll never forget that. He wasn't saying that in a way of hating. In fact, it was like a father speaking to someone that's just saying, hey, you're going in the right direction. Just recognize it's going to be a battle. And so I'll never forget that. I'll always honor him for that. But yeah, Michael Peace will be my take.
Okay, right on. Jay, how about you? Any names come to mind?
Well, mine, I'm not gonna go back as old as Fred went back. I've said this all the time. I like this guy. I see him on YouTube and TikTok, and his name is Keeron the Light, and I like his lyrics. I like what he puts out. I like his videos. He to me, he's not too hard. He's not too soft. He's acceptable, and his lyrics are very scriptural and powerful, and I like him a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Dope. Ace, how about you?
I'm gonna say just coming a little more during our time that was very influential because they was just that real was the Gospel Gangsters.
Mm.
So low. You know what I'm saying? If I'm representing the East, like genuinely, those cats was representing the West and standing for the gospel, like for real, for real. Like they was ready to take it to the streets, and it was going to be whatever. They were going to represent the kingdom, and they were going to do it in a way that really connected. And listening to their music coming from the East, it was like, yo, these cats are genuine. They're not trying to be West Coast rappers. They are that genuine article. So just for me, and my man Chili, shout out to Chili.
Facts. So good.
Holding it down for Camp 8. Yeah.
So. Yeah. Right on. Yeah. Shout out to all of them. Thank you for naming those. I don't know if I read this, Fred, or if I saw in a video interview, you graduated from Bible college at an extremely young age.
Yep.
Is that right?
I went to Bible college at 16 years old.
Wow.
I dropped out of high school to go preach the gospel full time. I got saved like in the ninth grade. Got on fire for God. I was one of them kids that took a family-sized Bible to church, to school. And in the hallway, I would tell everybody, Jesus loves you. Yo, what's up? Jesus loves you, man. My nickname became Jesus loves you. And I took the Bible very, very literally. And so it was like, if they don't accept you, just shake the dust off your feet. So I was like, bump this school. I'm about to leave. I'm about to go and preach the gospel to the world. I dropped out of high school to go preach the gospel full time. I found out real quick that not too many people want to hear from a black male dropout that's calling himself a minister. And I came back home, kind of tail between my legs, and I found out about this Bible school that was in Dallas, and I was 16 years old. And so I went to it and I fell in love. I thought, this is my tribe. These are my people. And I went there and just took it seriously. And so, yeah, I went at 16 and I graduated at 18.
Yeah. I feel like it's such a hip hop thing to do, to say, I'm going to go. I don't need anyone else. I don't need anything. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. It's funny because so much of what hip hop is, we, to a degree, because we are so in it, we feel that it's like nothing else out there. The world just don't get us, don't understand. But to a great degree, what was happening in hip hop in the advent of hip hop over the last 30 years, specifically from the 80s going through the 90s, it was just what was happening in America, but it was happening in almost an inverted way. So we didn't recognize it, almost like the rest of the world fully didn't recognize it, but they got hooked by it because it is their story. So it's like, look at what's happening now with in like media and social media and all of that. Folks can just like create something in their closet and then go out and put it to the whole world, right? Well, we in hip hop came up with that 30, 40 years ago, where we was like, I can come up with a dope rhyme on the corner, and now I'm gonna perfect it and shape it, and now I'm gonna take that to my block, and then from my block I'm gonna sell stuff out of my trunk, and it's like we just figured out how to do for self and make it work. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That's definitely hip hop.
Yeah, for sure. And you typically have co-hosts. My man, iomos from Chicago. He's usually on here as a co-host. But he's in school right now, and so he's busy getting his education on. But he always talks about like spirituality as another element of hip hop. There's traditionally the four elements that are artistic, but that spirituality piece, and he and I have always appreciated spirituality in hip hop, and we perceive that's been there from the beginning. Not just Christian hip hop, I think, came a little later from my understanding, but there was always a spiritual aspect, to the music. And so how do you see like Christianity as a spiritual aspect of hip hop in comparison to, maybe the other spiritual elements, the Islamic elements or the 5%ers elements or whatever? Right. How do you think that all plays together, or does it?
You want to speak a little bit on it?
Coming from just the idea of when we say the spirituality in regards to hip hop, coming from the Bronx, the whole premise was a stop the violence movement. So it's boiled down to community. do you care about people? And if there's anything that the gospel of Jesus Christ speaks to, it's about caring about people. So for all of the other things that individuals may bring to the table in terms of hip hop in a general sense, be it 5% or be it Muslim, whatever, the bottom line, it always boils down to community. And so there's a connectivity in terms of, once again, hip hop reaching out to all people, because its element, love, unity, what is the other element?
Having fun.
Yeah, and then having fun. You know what I'm saying? That whole aspect of us coming together under this one banner.
Yeah.
Right. And now we say that banner of that unity that we're talking about, what gives us that for as believers is Christ. That our creator actually, this is who you're referencing when we're talking about being able to do this as a community. So I think that one of the things that we as believers now have to come to terms with, especially when we're talking about hip hop, is not that we are accepting or we're receiving, what could be perceived as false religion or all of the other things, but realizing that the only true religion is a follower of our creator Christ, and that we have to live that out more so than trying to convince people with our mouths, just, hey, you stop doing that because that's not. But, it's just with this weird dichotomy that we wrestle with, because we, being a part of hip hop, we get that whole love, unity, having fun element. Unity, we get that coming together. And it's like, and we understand like where that actually comes from. How do we better express that through the music instead of it being a dividing dynamic from us as people? Because it's going to do its own division because people are going to have to choose it or not, as Christ said. So our job is to promote good news, not be negative.
Right. I was looking up a book. There's a book that came out, man, I'm trying to remember when this book came out. It came out years ago. It's by an author, Jeff Chain. And the book is Can't Stop, Won't Stop. It's his documentary history on hip hop. Great book. And I remember reading this. It's over 20 years ago. And he documented something that a lot of folks don't even realize. But the lady that started Sugar Hill Records, okay, she started Sugar Hill Records right before she met Sugar Hill Gang, okay? These guys, these kids that rapped, and she was like, I'm gonna put you on my record, and boom, it took off. Get this, and he has it in his book, Can't Stop, Won't Stop. This lady went to a tent revival. She went, like, talk about the history, man. She went to a tent revival and a preacher looked at her, pointed her out. Preacher pointed her out and gave her a prophetic word, a word of inspiration. He just simply said, God is about to do something through you that's going to touch the entire world. She really believed that was the Sugar Hill Gang when she found these kids that were using their voices, original instruments. Go read the book and check it out. It's right there. So I would agree with you. God has been a part of this whole movement from the very beginning. I love with your Cincinnati, your hometown boy, Talib Kweli. He said that voices are the original instruments. So using that power of the voice is definitely an aspect of spirituality.
Yeah, yeah. So going back a little bit, when you were, much younger and getting involved in hip hop music, what challenges did you face externally?
Oh man, you guys want
what challenges did we not face? That's the better question. Truth. And, me coming in on the tail end, the challenges with whatever Fred faced in '88, it still was representing in '92, '93. Yeah. The whole being received by the people that were your quote unquote kin in faith. The accepting that God is not limited with what he can use and how he can use it. and utilizing broken people from broken situations to speak life to that same community, using a tool that we recognize that everybody could fall in love with. Everybody.
Yeah.
And then being told God can't use that. Yeah. That's not of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it was always a struggle, but one of the things I was sharing with a young lady earlier was the whole premise of just recognizing that when you're faced with that kind of adversity, you either know that God called you, or you know that you're not called. You know what I'm saying? Because it's gonna make or break you. Mm-hmm. And watching the individuals that came before me and seeing and hearing the stories, and then me coming on, because I was warned. I got a little warning. Like they didn't. Fred did.
Yeah, ran in blind.
You know what I'm saying? So when I come on the scene, they like, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm young, I'm ready to go." Like, yo, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like being on and realizing, yeah, okay, this is not what I thought, but this is what I do.
This is what I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So a lot of the same challenges, man. I mean, a lot of the whole question. A young man that I got a chance and opportunity to mentor, who is a guy right now is doing this thing. Shout out to Dooney the Priest. Dooney the Priest. He's the priest of the street. He did a song, and I always love it because the song, he said, "Too worldly for the church, too churchy for the world." and that's definitely like what we found ourselves as. We were too worldly, too quote unquote worldly for the church. And so they kind of turned their nose at us. We were too churchy for the world. And so they kind of suspected us. So we were suspect in just kind of every place that we were. And we had to know how to turn forward as well as turn inward ourselves and really say, what am I doing this for? I'm doing this for the love of the art, the love of the craft, the love of the fact that it's a way to express my love, my life, what I feel, when I write, and that passion that's in there, and do it for the love of that. So, we have many toils and snares, baby. But that's what we've come through.
But you really had to love it to be in it, because the obstacles were many, and having families and being on the road and not getting paid right, and just, I remember us doing things to get home. Let's stop at this city and see if we can do a little concert here. Let me call this person, see if we can get $200 so we can have this gas money so we can get home to our families. I mean, it was really like that. And we didn't have TikTok, Instagram, none of that.
Right.
So it was all out street work. It was all boots on the ground, as the military and law enforcement says. We didn't know what we were getting into until we got there. And now it's really not like that. It's really not. A lot of these new rappers or new ministers, they don't have a clue. They can get up on these stages like at Flavor Fest, and these 19,000 rappers up there, and they're all praising God and worshiping God. But back when we were doing it, it wasn't nothing like that. You wasn't getting invited. Pastor Tommy wasn't inviting you to Flavor Fest to come and show your craft or to show, what you feel like God has for you. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And for those that did, they did it at risk at times.
Yeah.
And
huge risk.
There were, and as we can call it, the ones that were open, they were taking a risk. And many of those didn't look like us ethnically.
Right.
They didn't look like us ethnically.
Right.
So the ones that were doing and the ones that were paying, if there was anything to that, they were taking a risk in that regard. So
yeah. So you met these challenges just trying to get on, trying to get in front, trying to get the mic. A lot of people against you. What were some of the internal conflicts, the conflicts that you maybe inflicted upon yourselves, uh,
Sure.
during that time?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so it's many of them, and a lot of them is just the whole process of you becoming an artist, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the story, the story of Michelangelo looking at that block and saying, "I see David in that block. All I
Mm.
got to do is carve away all of the things that are blocking David that's in that block. So I just got to chip away." A lot of the development, a lot of the challenges, inward challenges, was chipping away stuff. That whole sense of, are you an imposter? Why are
Mm.
you doing this? What is this? Is God pleased with it? The whole, quote unquote, holy church. Do I have to speak in King James tone and all that kind of stuff? Like all of those type of things that are pacifying type, tropes anyway. I pray a prayer that I've memorized, and I use King James speech because my ego will say, yeah, that, ooh, God really loves that and likes that. But the real part of me says, it don't even take that. But
Mm.
it's easier for me to go with the memorized King James prayer is, because then my ego won't bug me anymore, and I'll be like, good, I got it, but I'm lying to myself, right? In the same analogy, I can settle with a rhyme that's like not as good, but I got like a bunch of Jesus words in it, language in it, and I'll be like, but you know what? God's gonna get the glory, and the church go. But it's like I realize though I can't go out on these streets and spit that rhyme and get the respect to where I could, after the time of rhyming, I can sit down and talk with another head. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to fall in love with the craft to the point that we speak on the behalf of the craft. Not that we're speaking and preaching at the craft.
Mm.
Not that we're speaking at the hip hop community. No, we are the hip hop community, and we're speaking on the behalf of it. And that's what so that means you have to do a lot of challenges, just like anything else. You got to develop that craft. And so, yeah, it was a lot of those days of just like becoming more real, more a greater, better version of yourself, and chipping off the fake parts that you realize that ain't even me anymore. I got to
Mm.
become a better version of myself.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say this: you were also, talking about the internal uh, battles that we had. We all had wives,
Mm.
and
That part.
we were on the road, and you're trying, you're going from this way, from one show to the next show, and your spouse is asking you, "Hey, are you sending that money? Did y'all get paid?" And then the whole time there, you now that's in your mind. You got to go minister, but you also getting these calls and these texts and all of this. So you know being true, we don't want to be infidels. You got to take care of your family. This is how we were taking care of our family. So you had all those internal stuff, and I'm sure that there's things that Fred, was going on internally with him that he didn't share with me and Kevin, and vice versa. But the one thing that we all had, and it was all, and I don't want it to sound like a burden, but we had families and kids at home that were relying on us to take care of them, and we had a mantle uh, on us to preach the gospel. And so it was a kind of, we had to do both. We could not do one without the other.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's real. Family is I have found nothing more difficult than being married and having kids. It's
Yeah.
such a challenge.
Challenge.
Um, yeah, it really is. It really is. So being out on the road, not getting paid what you should be getting paid. Yeah, I can see that being, very a lot of conflict there to work through for sure. Um, so I have a question about, I've worked with many different types of communities, and uh it's when you have like when I was kind of observing Christian hip hop, it was a little bit later, it was like, late 90s, early 2000s. And I want to get your perspective on something. Early on, you all were not accepted by many churches and church people. And so there was kind of like, there was a group, like a subgroup of Christian people. But then did you notice that subgroup being starting to do similar things that subgroup was kind of railing against the church for doing? Does that make sense? Like because I see, like, there's the institutional church that has its issues of being an institution, and then you have community that doesn't have all the politics and the money and all that. Did you see any of the Christian hip hop music being influenced by the negative elements of the institutionalized church?
I think that, honestly, a lot of the organized church people, those that grew up with hip hop, even though they didn't want to acknowledge it within the church, they started to realize hip hop wasn't going anywhere. Because that was the other thing. Just in the secular market, they thought hip hop was just going to be one of those. They thought it was going to be disco. You know what I mean? And it was not. And
right.
In fact, it began to grow and it began to flourish, and they started to infiltrate into other ethnic groups, and other ethnic groups were hip hop. They were genuinely hip hop, and so it wasn't going anywhere. And so within the Christian community, those that were like us but were ashamed, if you will, then they started to acclimate themselves to a more musically more hip hop sounding type of things, and not to put anybody per se on blast, but then they started to amalgamate choirs with a hip hop tempo and got radio play. You smart, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So there was a transition that happened to where we're gonna do our version of hip hop. And it was hip hop, but it was almost like Hammer, right? Like when Hammer first came out, nobody was feeling Hammer like that. But there was a group of people that felt Hammer. And we, as the more genuine hip hop, we had to come to terms with, okay, that those people that he's catering to, he's making money. So the underground cats was like, yo, hold up. We need to find that balance. And I think within the Christian industry, more individuals started to say, wait, okay, yeah, that's not really hip hop, but dang, they making money. You know, that more people are starting to accept this now. You know, so for me personally, I saw that transition. I was like, okay, something changed here.
Yeah.
I think that the Christian industry, and I think it's the dynamics of just human dynamics. You get a group, you start something that a lot of people like. It's always resistance at first. I was trying to find, shout out to my dude Brian McLaren. He's a great thinker, and he says that he's got a theory that whenever you get a great idea, that it's the idea that it's where everything needs to change. It probably flies in the face of so much of the conventional thought that the first representation of the idea gets completely just smashed. It gets hated. It gets thrown down, but it has to get smashed because it goes into the ground, and then like the seeds of it grow up. And so the next generation, they grab onto that idea, and now it becomes the thing. And it almost like it's by the time it gets to the third generation, it was like, I thought you knew this is what we do. And it's like, but wait a minute, you know, it's just a generation ago, y'all was 2 generations ago, y'all was completely hating. Right?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, so like as an example, the Winans, when they got with Teddy Riley, he was hot in the 90s. They got, if I'm not mistaken, a double award for best
double award and a Grammy
for that song that they did. It's time to make a change. So we like, so it's the Winans. This is Christendom's Jackson family, if you will.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They just got an award for the best rap song. What? Wait a minute.
That's right. That's what I did. I did a lyric. I said, maybe I'll get a Grammy if I sound like Sammy and I sing Mammy. How I love you, how I love you. But I'm above her. Scavenge just scratching for the miry muck, searching for a mere buck to worship. I'd rather first kick the bucket. And what I was just basically trying to say was like, yeah, we follow tropes. It's just like, look at what's happening with social media. Look at what happened with TikTok or Instagram, any of it. Something gets popular and everybody runs to it. And there is a type of conventional wisdom that is like, go with the crowd. But I like this, and this shout out to another preacher friend that I love to follow is Rob Bell. He calls this punk wisdom. And he says punk wisdom is when everybody, the whole conventional is going this way, but it's the little kid, the punk kid that says, the emperor has no clothes.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, look at the emperor's new clothes. No, you dangling, bro. You swinging, you out there, you know? And it's the punk wisdom. It's the person that decides to go against the crowd, against the stream, and actually just point out the obvious and say the emperor has no clothes. And every now and then you need that turn for somebody to do that. And so, I do see Christian hip hop, the hip hop community, spiritual hip hop kind of going like with the flow because that's what we're used to. But every now and then you'll get someone that really embodies this voice of saying, what is the thing that we must do? Reminds me of that passage that says the sons of Issachar, they knew the times. Now, if you really want to go into the history of what that was about, is these sons of Issachar, they understood astrology. And so the times they knew how the stars were aligned and how everything flows and how it goes in cycles. Their head wasn't spinning in circles. They were studying the cycles and they knew the times and what Israel should do in the right time. They captured the moment and knew what to do and how to leverage the moment. And every now and then that punk wisdom comes out and says, this is how we leverage the moment. And so that's what, I mean, I think great MCs love to do that. They love to be the punk wisdom kid to just say, hey, you know, you haven't thought about this, but, you know, we need to think about this, you know, and to that, in that degree, I think that hip hop in a lot of ways has had like odes and odes of wisdom, both sides, that we all owe a great amount of appreciation to.
That's I feel like I've always had that punk, you know, wisdom, not wisdom, but like I felt like I've always been that person. That's like,
yes,
this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why you all are doing this, you know?
Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Pharaoh Monch, his words, why do you think something is hot just because you hear it 40 times a day on the radio a day?
Right.
It's like, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I've always felt that way. I always felt like the alien of like, no one else sees it this way. Like, you know, it's just like, yeah. So I love that idea of the punk kid. I had not heard that before. That's dope. Yeah. So going back to something you said about Brian McLaren about change, you know, there does seem to be, from my experience, there does seem to be some communities that are able to adapt and change much better and faster and in a healthy way than other communities. And I've often thought of like Christian communities, churches specifically, seem to be the slowest to change. But maybe not. Maybe it's just most groups of people that are organized in any way are mostly going to be slow to change. But however, I feel like there are groups that do change well. Have you noticed like any like reoccurring theme from people or groups that do change well and receive change well?
I got some thoughts for what y'all do.
I don't know nothing.
You said, I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it.
I don't see nobody.
It's as you know, I pastor a church, and I've been doing so for the past 17 years. And people don't like change. church people really don't like change.
Right.
You know, they get used to a particular flow in how things are done. And when you are that punk kid, right, using punk wisdom, but for me, I didn't grow up in church like that. So I'm always looking at, why are we doing it that way?
Right.
I'm always pushing my leaders to not just think outside the box, but just recognize that you're boxing yourself in doing that. Make sure that you stay flexible. Make sure that you're able to just understand, like Fred was saying, understand the times. Like what we did a year ago may not work this year.
Yeah.
And so the challenge is always, it's not just within the aspect of hip hop or music, it's life. People don't like change. And if it's a change that really pushes them to grow, that's the most painful kind of change. And of course, people don't want to deal with that kind of pain, you know. And so for us who are creatives and who, you know, we just know that, you know, things just don't stay this way. It's easier for us to transition, even if it is painful, because we've been through the pain. We know what that's going to be like. You know, it reminds me of this TV show that they have on now where they're having people go through like the military training for like Navy SEALs and stuff like that. And them people, like some of the people, I'm like, you don't even need to be on this show, right? Because
you ain't gonna make
it. You know, it's that aspect of those guys. They've been through it. You know, hey, you're gonna spend 30 seconds in this freezing cold water, and you gotta recite this quote. Yeah. The Navy SEAL guy jumped in, and it was just like, he just did it. Like, dude, you in pain, you hurting, but he's used to it. Yes. I know what to expect. It's gonna be different, but I know how to handle that. And a lot of people just they don't know what to expect, and then when they're experiencing it, it's like I can't do it. So like in the show, one lady jumped in the water. She couldn't even find her words.
Right.
Got out, took her little strap off and said, I'm out. I'm done. And I'm like, I can't be mad at her because not everybody's built like that.
There's a guy that got to give another shout out to, a great author and a great guy that does this. His name is David Goggins. If anybody's ever heard of him, go check out his books. He's a military dude, and he is one of the few people that people just testify. He does those type of things. Like he will jump in the water on purpose because he knows it's cold. He'll go through the difficulty because of the difficulty of his life, like coming up, and he came up in a very hard life. So he goes after the pain because he's like, if I get to the pain quicker, then it will be over quicker. Right? So I got a line in one of my rhymes. I said, I'm up at dark 30 jogging, getting on my David Goggins. Because that's what he does. He's like, I don't want to get up. So I'm going to get up because I don't want to get up.
No doubt.
And if you asked if there was a trait for those that that embrace change, and I think that trait goes back to our master's words. If you want to follow me, get used to knowing what death feels like. So pick up a cross and keep it up right close to your back, to where every now and then you close, oh, that's what it feels like. Yeah, have it right there. Now follow me. So yeah, it's like those that embrace change, they always also, in my opinion, they have a strange acquaintance with suffering, with grief, death. Billie Holiday, good morning, heartache. Sit down. Come on in here. I know you out there at the door. As much as I try to act like you're not there and try to deny you, you're just going to be there haunting me. So come on in here, sit down. Let's deal with this pain so we can get on with our life. David Goggins. Go look up David Goggins.
Yeah. That's really interesting that going through pain, going through great struggle is
Now,
what helps people
achieve. Yeah.
achieve and be flexible and adaptive to change.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's a real interesting idea. Were you going to say something? I'm sorry, Ace.
No, I'm just saying, it's not an idea. Jesus said it directly to Paul. You will suffer many things for my sake.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean? And look at what Paul accomplished through the suffering. You know what I mean? And so when we look at the aspect of, like, if you really gonna make a mark for the kingdom, please believe it's not gonna be. And I know that we paint many times these pictures of victories and things of that nature. We do. We walk through that. I mean, we're sitting here victorious right now with everything that we can share about how difficult things were. We still walk in victory because of the call that God had on our lives. But it comes at a cost. Yeah. And that cost, many times, you're suffering something in that process.
Right.
But you're growing at the same time to know that, you know what, when we speak to these young cats, we not just like, we ain't trying to scare you. We just trying to tell you that if you're going to keep it 100, then keep it a buck to know that none of this may not work out the way that you think.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it reminds me of something I read recently about it. The author was basically saying it's not that people don't like change. It's that they don't like loss that comes with the change. And I feel like that's relevant here because it's like people who have experienced loss, they know how to, they know how to deal with it. Or maybe they don't know how to deal with it, but they overcame it. They came through it. Yeah. And so when the next change comes and the loss associated with it, like, well, okay, well, I did it the last time. I figured, I came through that, I can come through this as well. So yeah, that's it makes sense now.
Yeah. My pastor, he often says this. He says, stop worrying about what you lost, because loss is going to be a part of the game. Right. He says, look around at what's left over, because in some kind of way, whatever you have left over is enough for you to make up what you need for what's next. And so this so much reminds me of what my favorite MCs, great MCs, are those that just know how to take $1 to make $1 out of 15 cents. Right? Yeah. Just like, okay, this is all I got left. Watch me. It's like, oh, you hit me in the face. Why don't you? I'm quoting my favorite MC, right? Because they're like, watch me. Okay, I can do this. I can turn this. I can turn this around. I don't know how I'm gonna turn it around, but when I get in the thick of it, it reminds me of Jordan in the middle of the air. It's like this ball in the next 3 seconds will be in that basket, and I got all these obstacles in the way. All I gotta do is do me. That means I might stick my tongue out. That means I might piss past you. I might be a little rude the way I do it, but when it comes, it's going to look so graceful, so much that people will make a logo out of it at the end of it. And then what greatest MCs do, it's like, I will do something, I will make something out of this mess, and the mess will end up turning into a message.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Yes, sir.
Yo, on that note, we're gonna take a little break from the deep conversation and play a little game called Do You Remember? Let's see if you guys remember. Do you remember? All right. Yes, here's the first one. I'm gonna show you something. This is the Tunnel Rats Experience. Do you remember this album?
Yes. I just when you say Tunnel Rats, I think Fat Shoelaces.
Yes.
And great rhymes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. Tunnel Rats. All right. Do you remember the Black Soil Project?
The Black Soil.
Do you remember this? Big Rollo? Do you remember Rollo?
Oh my gosh, man. No. I haven't.
Do you remember Rollo?
In so long. Yeah, it's been. What was that? What era did that come out? That was in That was like you said. It was late. It was mid '90s.
Oh, this is
early 2000s.
Yeah, this says 2001. I thought this was
2001.
Earlier,
See, I'm thinking that I may have heard of it like late 98, 99 ish, and then in 2001. Wow, the Black
Yeah, man.
Project.
I love the Rallo. Okay.
Yes.
This was a fun one. How about this one? The rise and fall of the Brainwash Project.
The Brainwash Project.
Pigeon John, yes. And the whole crew. Or no, wait. LA Symphony. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
LA Symphony, man.
All right. This one's a little lesser known, but this was my guy. This was probably my first mentor in the hip hop world. This is Fitty Futuristic.
Oh, wow.
Y'all remember Fitty?
Fitty Futuristic. Look his costume before Kanye.
Before Kanye. I think,
Before Kanye.
Kanye ripped Fitty, man.
Wow.
Fitty Futuristic. My man.
Wait, Fitty before 50.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He was a pioneer, man. All right. How about this one? See if y'all remember this one. This one's Killing Sin by Timothy Brindle.
By Timothy Brindle. Yeah.
Remember this one?
Yes, man. Yes. Killing Sin.
Remember that one. All right. Last one. Last one. I don't know what happened. There was a record label. That was like, remember when like everything was like the Christian version
of something else?
Yeah, of something else. Yeah. This was the Christian version of No Limit, Records. This is Grapetree. Y'all remember Grapetree?
Grapetree.
This is the only Grapetree album I could find.
Is that the only one?
DCP. Y'all remember Ghetto Preacher?
Dude, we just sent a picture. There's a dude that rocks with Little Rascal.
Yeah.
Here at Flavor Fest. That's why. But shout out Flavor Fest and Urban D, Tommy Colombian. They 23-year long hip hop conference. We're here in Tampa, Florida, doing the conference this weekend, and so we're performing here tomorrow, and doing a seminar and speaking and all of that. But we was with a dude that runs with Lil Rascal. We just sent a pic of us and him to Little Rascal today, so that's so weird.
Oh wow!
About Grapetree Records.
And I had Little Rascal CDs. I don't know where the covers went, man. I don't know. I must have lost them over the years.
Well, Little Rascal, he's doing good, man. Shout out to Little Rascal. He's an older Rascal now, but he's still rascally. He's still brilliant. He's a brilliant idol.
Rascally.
He's a rascal. He's a rascally.
He was the first.
Rascal is just a brilliant dude, man. He is still doing it. He's actually taking over Grapetree and taking Grapetree. So look for.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't realize that.
Big shout out to him, man. Big respect.
He was the first Christian hip hop album I ever heard, chopped and screwed.
Yeah,
I never heard that before. Lil Rascal. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, you talked about Flavor Fest, where you are right now. Can you just give the people that may not know about Flavor Fest what it is, how long it's been going, who started? I know you touched on it a little bit, but just
sure. It's 20 for this. They're celebrating their 23rd year, and the whole idea, Flavor Fest. Tommy Colombian came from Philadelphia. Urban D is his rap name, and he's just been doing it for years, 20 years. He started as a youth pastor and took over a youth ministry. His dad was a pastor, and was kind of getting sick, and so he decided to take over the church, and they started a church, Crossover Church, and they are really doing the real deal, man. They're here in Tampa, Florida, right down the street from the university. They're reaching out to the streets. Like, they are everything hip hop, man. We went into the praise and worship. I threw up on my post today up online. I was like, have you ever been into a church where they actually have turntables up on the stage and somebody is rhyming in the middle of the praise and worship set? Like, they go there and it's blended beautifully where it's not like you feel weird. It's like it's there. I actually had Ugly Church. And if you don't know what Ugly Church is when you like, ugly Church. They took us there, bro. They got their praise and worship on lock. So yeah, they doing the thing. They've been doing it. That's the reason why they could do it so well, because they've been doing it for 23 years. So this time they have all of the great Christian hip hop acts and groups out every year. And so they're going to have a great lineup now. You guys can just go look up Flavor Fest 23. I think you can look up Flavor Fest 23 and you'll find them online.
Dope. Well, speaking of looking stuff up, people can look up P.I.D. and some new music that's coming out, right? Y'all got some new stuff underway?
Yes, sir! Y'all want to talk about it? I'm talking too much. Go ahead.
Tell them. Yeah, we got new music coming out.
Tell them! Tell
them! No, man, we excited to just have an opportunity to tell them everything.
Tell them!
Yeah, so just through God bringing us back together to just, continue on ministry-wise through the music, we were given an opportunity. We're signed to Holy Culture Records, and this was just something that happened just recently here. And our first single will be dropping at the end of November, beginning of December, realistically. And we're gonna be presenting the people with some new flavors.
We got some new stuff.
All right.
What I'm gonna do for you and for everybody listening to this, I'm gonna send you the pre-save. The name of our single is "Take Them to Church." Okay. And so I'll send you the pre-save where they can go and download that pre-save link and go check it out. Our lyric video for it is coming out this weekend. So we got a lyric video. We're going to perform it here at Flavor Fest and announce. So you are actually getting the scoop, my man. Like with the next 12 hours, we was going to announce, but since you asked, we just like tell it. But we are officially signed to Holy Culture Records, Holy Culture Radio. You can find that on 140 on Sirius XM. And so that's their station. And they're launching a record label, and they wanted us to be one of the first stable groups just because of our pedigree and our background. And yeah, we've been doing this since '86, but we got something new for 2024. We got the album. It's going to be coming out in June. So we're really excited about that.
I was just going to say, don't think that we sound like what may be put out there. We're true to who we are. And I think that per the shows that we've been doing, that's been our motivation, to be true, just like some of the older secular groups, bands, whatever the case may be. We're not trying to sound like, we're not trying to be a modern version of what's going on today. God has called us to do what we do. And so best believe it's top notch, in that regard. Expect the heat. It's coming.
What's that, Jay?
No, I was telling Fred to just go ahead and give you our social media. We need our fans, grandkids, and their grandmothers to follow the preachers P.I.D. on all social medias.
So all socials, you could just go, "Hey Preachers," and the preachers is with the AS. Preach us, not preachers. We preach us.
Right.
So Hey Preachers. And so you can find us there. You could do it just at preachers.com and find us there. And so we out there, man. And yeah. So and what was I saying? I forgot. With the following socials. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of the album? Or is there a name yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. The name of the album is The Crucible.
Okay. All right.
That's
nice.
The name of the album, The Crucible. First single is "Take Them to Church." Second single we got coming out is "Still Gifted." We got four singles. We can't give you all of them. First one is "Take Them to Church." The name of the album is "The Crucible." That's coming out in June. So the next several months, 4 months, we'll be bringing some singles out. And so you guys will hear from us. Go check us out at heypreachers.com. Also, I will give you that piece so you could we'll put it up on where they can just go and click on your stuff and go check out Boom Bap Chat and on and get that pre-save where they can save it on social stuff.
Right on. Well, before we end on celebrating some other artists, some other albums that we like, just would love to hear from the three of you on what do you think is the future, or what do you hope is the future of the Christian hip hop movement?
I feel like what I hope for the Christian hip hop movement is that the artists really become real. I mean, I hear a lot of songs, and I'm not. This is just me talking. I hear a lot of songs when we talk about Christ. It's kind of like he kept me from this, he kept me from that, he kept me from this, he kept me from that, and that's great when you rhyming. But what I would like to see out of Christian hip hop is more teaching moments used in your lyrics, something that'll make a person say, wow, I never really thought about that. We've lived in a legalistical society, and even in our religions for so long. It has put a stranglehold on some of the ministries, some of the things that people can do. That's why the outside world has a hard time dealing with us, because of the legalistical stuff. But I just feel like if we give people something they can listen to that they like, that they can resonate with, and it's not just and I'm from another generation. So we're going to stay in our realm. But just be true to yourself, people recognize that. They see it immediately. So that's one of the main things that I'm hoping for, that we become more educatable or educate people more. Made up a word because I'm a rapper, but it's official. It's official. But that's what I would like. I mean, my Christian walk, it has evolved.
Yeah.
From when I'm like Rich, I was an unchurched kid. I went to Catholic school. My parents, I got saved when I was 19. So everything in this Christian community was new to me. But that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that people can take what we say and other rappers or artists and say, you know what? I can listen to that. I can live by those words.
Yeah.
That's right.
Reminds me of another made up word, edutainment.
Yes.
Coined by KRS. Yeah. Ace, how about you? What are your hopes?
My hopes is that for the gospel rap community, that they embrace hip hop. See, we've embraced rap, and we continue to be a sub-genre instead of being the kingdom people within the industry that I think that God has called us to be, which includes Jay's aspect of that authenticity, to where we stop, if you will, if we stop being behind the 8 ball when it comes to different flows and different styles and different, let's stop sounding, and this, I know this is cliche, right? But when do we get to a place where we start being so creative that the world says that sound is dope, instead of it being vice versa? Where we stop doing rap and we start doing hip hop, and hip hop is creative. Hip hop is innovative. Hip hop says, and so it's not that people aren't doing it, but it's still coming behind. Yo, that sound out in the world is that. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna improve upon that, right? My hopes is that we get to a place, because people are genuine to the kingdom culture. And within the kingdom culture, the hip hop culture, the creativity that God gives us becomes the forerunner for everybody else to have to run behind. Just like hip hop, when it was in its infancy, it was the thing that everybody ran behind. That's my hopes.
That's dope.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fred, how about you?
I mean, listening to both of them, I'm thinking even I love their train of thought. And so if I could carry that to, the third place is like, if we matured and if we developed our own original voice, which I think that's a process of what's happening, and we just need it more. If we continue, then my hope is, then hopefully we could be among those in the world of hip hop as healers. So we don't create another ghetto where we're just making safe places for us to enjoy hip hop, which is important. We want that. But at the same time, we also sanction and understand and really push those that say, I'm going to go out and connect with those that are in a broader hip hop community because I'm here to heal. I'm here to love. I'm here to be the one that whoever needs, that they can call on, that they can confide in, that, from a Kendrick to a go on down the list, that they know, hey, I can call on so-and-so and I know that they got me, and I know that they'll hold my secrets, and I know that I can connect with them and pray with them. And that's my hope, that we would step into that place of purpose.
That's dope. That's dope. So thank you for sharing those beautiful hopes. One of the hopes that I have is, I do a lot of interfaith work, a lot of inner community work. And one of the hopes I have for, people of faith, of any faith really, is to allow art to inspire us, to allow art to begin conversations, and to not immediately judge art, whether it's a message that we disagree with, or whatever, that we can look at the art, we can take it, we can consume it, and we not channel zero where we're just like, dumbed out, but we're actively engaged in it, and we can dissect it, and we can, push back and have conversations, but that art can be used as a way to, bring humans together and, and build community across, lines that divide us. So in the spirit of that hope, I'd like to finish with something we like to do here at the Boom Bap Chat, which is called One Word. And the challenge is, I'm going to show you an album. And if you love this album, if you heard this album and you love this album, the challenge is to respond to it using one word or less. All right?
Can you cuss?
What'd you say?
Can you cuss?
Yeah, you can cuss here. There's actually usually, might be our first show in a long time we've not had our artists use any profanity, because we welcome all artists onto the show.
Well, we're gonna continue that trend.
But you can respond authentically, and so the first one, and it's hard for hip hop heads to do just one word. So first one is a new album. It's a new album, and it is called Michael by Killer Mike. One word.
Bad.
You said bad?
Bad. Man.
Hey, so Fred, you can
bad. Not bad, meaning bad.
Right, yeah.
Bad. Good.
Yeah. Why you say bad? You succeeded with one word. Why you say bad though?
Man, that dude, man, just the stuff that comes out of his mouth, and the education and the knowledge that man speaks about and translates that into music. If you can't get with him, you might as well just listen to something else.
Yeah, no doubt. The song on here, Motherless, man, that song's powerful. Yeah, he's powerful. Okay, next one. Ooh, this is a good one. This is A Future Without a Past by Leaders of the New School. LONS.
Groundbreaking.
Ace, do you remember hearing this album for the first time?
Clearly.
Yeah. Can you tell us about it?
I went to school with one of them cats.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So just knowing where they came from, and then to hear where they had taken it as a collective. Yeah. Just groundbreaking, man.
Did you have a moment listening to this? You were like, wait, that guy?
Yeah.
He made this?
Yeah.
Really?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, how do you do that?
I mean, but we went to the high school of art and design. So it was, there was creativity all around us as far as, physical painting, drawings, things of that nature, but didn't realize that there were cats like me that, hey, I also like music and like to write and stuff like that. So there was a lot of us that were just kind of doing. I went to school with C. Brown. He was in there for a half a second. But Kwame went to school. I went to school with Kwame. Prince Poe from Organized Confusion. A monster. Yeah,
he's so dope.
So I knew about him. I knew him, and then Jameson Farrow. He was a grade behind us, so I didn't really know him. But me and Prince, we graduated together.
Oh wow!
So, yeah.
That's dope. I think Prince Poe is just a phenomenal MC. Phenomenal.
Both of them cats, man. So,
I mean, Pharoah Monch gets his props, but Prince Poe needs way more props, man, than he gets.
I'm no slave to the rhythm.
He's so dope.
Both of them cats. Both of them. But anyway,
yeah. All right, this is Business as Usual by EPMD.
Come on, man.
One word.
That sentence. Come on, man. It's fire. It's fire, man. I think that Business as Usual, they finally they locked in. They locked in on EPMD's identity. The very first album, I feel like they got it, but they were still just fleshing out how do we need to do this. I was watching a deal on YouTube with Eric Sermon doing an interview of My Expert Opinion. And Eric was saying that, Parrish didn't even want to rap. He just wanted to do, and I'm like, but that for a cat that didn't want to rap. Parrish, and then I went back and I was like, you listening to Parrish, that dude had bars.
Yeah, bars.
Parrish had bars.
And didn't even want to rap.
Wow. And didn't even want to rap.
Make you mad.
So by the time they got to that joint.
Yeah. I would say for one word then is locked. Locked. They had the game locked.
Being true to who they was.
Yeah. They were something, man. Speaking of a group being something, this is Follow the Leader. Eric B and Rakim.
Okay.
What do you say about the God MC?
Yeah.
And Eric B on production.
What do you Paradigm?
Why Paradigm?
Because they shifted the entire paradigm. Chuck D said he had to change. The reason why we have It Takes a Nation of Millions to hold us back, because Chuck heard Eric B. I heard Rakim.
Yeah.
He's like, dang. He was like, damn, I gotta go back and change everything. And you know how MCs are. It's like we're competitive. And he was like, oh, so when I say paradigm, because I have to think of a jazz word, because like Rakim is truly our Charlie Parker. He is our Miles Davis. He is
he did something totally different.
What is that piece who was that did Giant Steps? Who did the
John Coltrane.
John Coltrane. That's what I'm trying to get to. John Coltrane, what he did for Giant Steps is what Rakim did for rhyming, for MCs.
Yeah.
MCs, because the music was always shifting and changing, but no one was taking, and he did it so simple with his rhyme flow to so paradigm.
Do you think there's another album or artist that was as paradigm shifting as Rakim? After you think Chuck D?
With Nations, and he did Nations and Fear of Black Planet. He just made things change, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Beyond that, who would you say that was just as paradigm shifting?
I would say but I would say the level of influence, Snoop.
Snoop.
Yes. And Dre had the ability to point out, because if you follow Dre, he found people that changed the paradigm over and over again. From DOC.
Yeah.
From DOC, who came from West Dallas.
Yes, sir. Yes.
From DOC, then to Snoop, then to Eminem. He just
I would call them shifters. Yeah.
It may not be on that level. It might be. I think an argument can be made. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. I've often thought that 3 Feet High and Rising by De La Soul is one of those paradigm shifting albums. Did you say that too?
Yes.
From the skits.
Not that they weren't denying it, but
to the sampling.
We were just we just said that today.
Because I feel like that album, more than any album up to that point, took hip hop broader than any other album did up to that point. And it just kept going, bro. And I can't tell you how many people I hear say the same thing. De La Soul told me it was okay to be me.
That's right.
So then I got into music. So I just brought in a whole new flood of people across the globe.
And you have to respect it.
Because they weren't trying to fit in and trying to sound like anybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, they could spit. When you listen to the albums thereafter, one of my classics for them, along with that first one, was Stakes is High.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Stakes is High shuts everything down. Just the naysayers. Yeah.
And, and rest in peace, Dave, of course.
No doubt.
There's no other group in hip hop that I'm aware of that came out way back then and was still, they're going to be releasing new music. We've been told. We're still recording.
Still doing
this day. Never broke up. Never had a feud that escalated to the point that we knew that they were, about to.
Maybe they had something going with that Daisy age. Maybe they had
they had something.
On this.
They had something. All right. I'm glad I'm not alone in that, man. I love De La Soul. All right. 2 more. You mentioned it a lot. This is It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back by Public Enemy. One word.
Game changing. Game changing. I say that because while the aspect of our theologies are not the same, Chuck was able to take his faith, if you will, and make it relevant to the world.
Yeah.
Not just Black people, which he was quote unquote supposed to be aimed at, but to the world. He made the world listen.
Yeah. That's powerful. All right, last one. It might be the greatest album of all time. It might be. I don't know. I'm just saying it might be. This is The Low End Theory by A Tribe Called Quest.
Low.
Yes.
Low, baby. Low. Low end. Everything. George Clinton talking about the idea of funk and where funk comes from and what funk is. What Q-Tip did with, it was funky and it was real and it was sexy and it was truth and it hit all of the marks. Low end theory. And it came in a time, and especially I jokingly say low end, I'm thinking a big bottom, a big backside, a low end. And they were saying all of that is nothing wrong with loving that, loving you, loving yourself. And there's something very powerful about what this is. It made you once again feel good about just being who and what you were and what you are and flexing. I think of, who's that? What's the lady that just passed a while ago? The Black lady, incredibly, what did she say? Wonderfully Me. What is her? Oh, dang. I know why the Cage Bird sings. What's her name? Maya Angelou.
Oh, yeah.
Maya Angelou, when she does the poem, do you think there's something wrong with me when I smile and I sashay, I walk across the room? You know, I know who and what I am, and I know that you're jealous of it. That's low end. That's the low end theory. The low end theory was just bomb, and they just came out and they didn't have to yell. You know, up to that point, there were many that were in hip hop that yelled to get their point out.
Yeah,
and like Q-Tip and them came in like Neo in the Matrix, just whisper your way through it. Just what it is what it is. You're gonna have to come to me, come closer to me, so you can catch all of this. And it was like it just pulled us all in. Low end there.
I feel like, amen to that. I feel like in some ways there's parallels with you mentioned Giant Steps by Coltrane. Yeah. I feel like in some ways this album parallels that song in that there was, I don't know, there was just something new and fresh and different, but it was real. Whereas Coltrane was like mad complex and like doing these things that musicians like, what the heck is going on here? This was like simplicity. This was like the divinity and the profoundness of the simple, you know?
Good way. Good point. You
know? So yeah, I love this album. It's one of my favorites. So
beautiful stuff.
Well, thank you for playing along. One word tonight. It's a
one word.
It's a hip hop show. So we always conclude with shout outs. So I'll give a few and then I'll turn it over to you guys and you can have the final shout outs of the night. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, definitely want to shout out a dope MC named Eternia, who's going to be on the show in 2 weeks. So make sure y'all come back. We're going to have a great conversation with her. And shout out to my man Kaz Meta and Jay Rawls. They got an album coming out soon. I think we're going to get both of them. We're going to try to get both of them on the show soon to talk about that. And it's a Christian hip hop, show tonight. So shout out to my man K Drama and Wonder Brown, all the Scribbling Idiots, Fitty Futuristic, all the cats, D-Mob, everyone in Cincinnati that showed me love when I first moved here. So just shout out to all y'all. And last but not least, man, shout out to you guys, man. P.I.D, Preachers in Disguise, Ace, Fred, Jay, thank you for being pioneers, stepping into spaces that you were not wanted in, but stepping in anyway, and just saying we are going to be here, we deserve to be here, we're going to be here, and just pioneering something. And like I think one of you said it earlier, people, a lot of rappers today don't even know, that have it easy, that don't have to go through these obstacles. A lot of them don't even know. So hopefully some of them are watching the show tonight and now they know. So just props to you. Thanks to you. Shout outs to you. I appreciate y'all coming tonight too, coming away from, the Flavor Fest to give us some time and share a little bit of your experience. So thank you guys. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you guys to give the final shout outs of the show. So take it away.
Ain't nothing but a thing. Shout out to my church, Life Community Church, LCC. Shout out to my son Mid, who's coming. He's coming for heads. My son,
next generation.
Shout out to all my sons and their wives. Love all you guys. Shout out to my brothers that's sitting here that helps me continue to do what it is that God has called me to do. I can't really do it without them, and this is a beautiful thing. And then shout out to you, man. Appreciate you, my man, having us on this platform and giving us an opportunity just to speak the truth and love and just continue to grow, man. So one love and shout out to you, man. My brother.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Big ups, man. Let me go on and give a shout out, of course, to my wife, Deanne Michelle. She is not up. It's too late. She is asleep, so she'll see the recording of this. But big ups to her, to my kids, my beautiful kids, Asia and Jordan. And just big up to so many different people. I want to give a shout out to so many leaders that are in their best ways trying to make a difference in the world. You and I, we are connected through a mutual friend, Fred Aduyoye. So big ups to Fred Aduyoye, to Larry Acosta, to my man Ephraim Smith, E Boogie. Big ups to him, Tommy Colonian. Man, I'm looking at all of these great leaders that I've had the joy. Big ups to my man Josh McDowell, to Rob Bell, to TD Jakes. so many different people. Timothy Ross, just great friends that I've been able to build with, and just big up to my man, Truth Seeker. What? My people. Just these are my people that I love to kick it with. I love to build and get ideas. And in the words, shout out to Rakim, the words of Rakim converted into hip hop form. I love to take great thoughts and convert them into hip hop form. So that's why I want to give a shout out to all of those great leaders.
First, I want to give my shout out to God, because without him, I would be nothing.
Indeed.
Big shout out to Joyce. I love you. Shout out to all my Pittsburgh family.
Let them know. It burns us. It burns us.
All my people up there in Pittsburgh, shout out
burns us.
A big shout out to PSJ.
Yeah.
My son.
Yeah.
Little J will be 40 years old this year. He was on the Born with the Gift album. I'm not going to tell you a story, but big shout outs to him.
Yeah.
Shout out to my Breakfast Brothers family. And just shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to you. Shout out to my brothers right here. We've been friends for a very, very long time. I love these dudes. Yeah. Everything about them. I'm a wild cat, and they've been there for me in a lot of my rough times. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all.
Indeed.
That's dope. I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out Pastor Phil Jackson too at the house.
No doubt.
Sorry,
no doubt.
My man. Hey, before we go, real quick, one thing I wanted to get into, and maybe we can leave on this. Can you tell the people about Mic Drop real quick, and where they can watch that that documentary?
Okay, Mic Drop the movie. You can just go to micdropthemovie.com and get information on it. But the 14th of this month, so November the 14th, it'll be available on Amazon Prime as well. So you just look up Mic Drop the movie, and it's an entire document on the history, the real history of Christian hip hop. And we go there, we talk about it. Like, we talk about the fact that, we went past burning crosses on tour. SFC and P.I.D, we did a Partners in Rhyme tour. We made the tour up in our minds, and then went and called churches and asked if we can come, and went and did it ourselves. And we did that tour and took a picture in front of a burning cross going through your state, Indiana, baby. We talk about that. Real stories. Real stories, man. So it's all in that documentary. That's all I'm gonna tell you on it. It's plenty of great stories in the documentary, but it'll be on Amazon Prime, as well as many other digital platforms that you can check out. Mic Drop the movie, the story and the history of Christian hip hop.
And it's real.
Is that the tour bus that had a hole in the floor?
Yes.
Is that a different one?
That's a different story.
We'll have to have you back on to tell that story.
Yeah, man.
So right on. Thank you, fellas. And on that note, as always, we say peace.
Peace.